While Muffy was annoying this episode, the real villain was that hairdresser.
What's wrong with my hair? I knew it. Oh, if only she had hair like yours.
If it wasn't for Tony, oh.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning back in. I'm back with another after video, and this is going to be about Francine's bad hair day. And in particular, I really want to bring this into a discussion. This is going to get really deep.
You think you know, you have no idea.
Because even though this was made in like the mid to late 90s, and they didn't really go that deep in the episode, there's a lot to insinuate, there's a lot to take from it, and it's still an episode that's relevant today.
So anyway,
In particular, when it comes to hair care, women in their hair care, and even men, which I'm gonna get into, there's a lot of stigmas on hair care and the person who's wearing it, wearing whatever style, and I really want to break that down. Before I really get into this episode and just the whole general topic, this is one of those reasons why, piggybacking off my last video, I thought that Francine was supposed to represent a black girl because of the way they had her hair compared to Muffy, who had the long hair, who I thought was like a biracial light-skinned girl. You see the difference? You see what I mean? Don't it seem like Francine is supposed to be the darker skinned black girl with the shorter hair that's nappier, that's unkempt, that's not that pretty like Muffy, who is the lighter skinned biracial looking girl with the long flowy hair? You see the difference? You see how they made them? Muffy's hair is more complimented compared to Francine, who's laughed at and teased. So from here on out, that's kind of the perspective I'm going to be talking about this episode from. If y'all thought differently of it, because I know Francine was supposed to be Jewish. Some people say it was a Jew fro. Muffy, people thought that, and a lot of people think that they're just animals, but you have to pick up on the nuances. Now, for a quick synopsis, this was picture day, right? And this is one of those things that I feel like all of us remember, especially when we was in like early grade school, kindergarten. Picture day, our parents making us get ready, making sure we had the best outfit, making sure we had the best hairstyle, right? Just making sure we look presentable for the pictures. Because these are memories you're going to look back on. When now I look back at some of my old pictures, and some of y'all can see some of them on the wall.
School pictures have just been scheduled.
what?
But here we have the difference. Francine is a tomboy. We already know that. She likes to wear jeans, sweaters. She likes to play dirty. She likes to get rough. She likes to play with the boys. She likes sports. Muffy, on the other hand, is more of a girly girl. She's more prissy. She's more, I can't get dirty, that type. And this becomes even more evident when they're discussing picture day in the bathroom.
Pictures? Who cares?
Not you, obviously.
Francine obviously doesn't care that much about it, but Muffy is pushing her like, Francine,
It would take a lot of work, but you could be a whole new Francine.
Muffy often tries to push Francine to look better. She thinks her look is too basic, not that attractive. Oh, Francine, we need to do you over. We need to get you ready. Francine is like, what's wrong with this?
Nah, leave it to me.
To me, it was really nothing wrong with Francine's little bob. That look worked for her, in my opinion. But Muffy made it seem like, no. And Francine even imagines having a long, luxurious hairstyle that Muffy keeps hyping her up to get.
Wow.
So back at Francine's house, Muffy is trying to help Francine get her look together, making her pick out a dress, making her get a new hairstyle.
Put it on.
I'll look stupid.
Ah! I don't get it.
Wait a minute, hold on.
The hairstyle Muffy tried to give Francine obviously isn't working. So Muffy tells her, oh, come meet me at the salon I always go to. And they do.
You didn't say we were going to a beauty parlor.
What'd you think it was? A pet shop?
And right away, remember when I told y'all the hairstylist was the real villain of this episode? Just look at the difference between how she treats Muffy and Francine.
Muffy, you're positively brilliant to see you. And well, we don't promise miracles. Not in your price range, anyway.
Now, you done pissed me off.
Just assuming from right away that Francine was poor and it was really nothing they could do with her type of hair. The stylist starts going through all these different looks. Francine settles on one of those looks that have like long, curly, flowy hair. They call it the prom queen style.
I'll take that, I guess.
Setting up the unrealistic expectations. Now, after getting the treatment and getting pampered, Francine sees her final look and it's like,
I knew it. Oh, if only she had hair like yours.
Oh my God.
she said it with such disappointment, like, look at your hair compared to Muffy's. Nice looking hair, good hair. If only you had hair like hers, it wouldn't have came out looking this bad. Francine's bad hair day. That's why they called the episode that. The only way to give her that hairstyle, what she should have known as a stylist or whatever, is to give her some type of extensions. There's insinuation that having the hair texture that Francine had wasn't a good thing. Wasn't that beautiful. And like I said earlier, comparing Francine and Muffy in their final hairstyles that came out, I feel like this is something a lot of little black girls had to go through, where it was kind of like their hair was looked at as not that beautiful, not that pretty in its natural state as an afro like this. You know, as it grew longer, as it grew bigger, it was like at a certain time, their mothers in a way forced them to perm it. All right, you're such and such age now, you got to perm it. You know, the little braids and barrettes, you got to get rid of that. It's too much to deal with. I'm tired of this nappy hair. Every time they comb it, they crying. This is the whole situation. You know, I grew up with cousins where I seen that happen, where it's like after a while, it's all right, time to get a perm. And you know, for their hair to look like Aaliyah's on this picture, that was a thing. That was a style.
There are a few little things that you should know about hair care.
I tell you, even when I was in high school, I seen a difference in how some black girls were treated that had like hair that wasn't straightened or permed or silk pressed. And then, for example, say it was their birthday or it was like a dance or a prom or whatever the case was, they got their hair done. All of a sudden, they got all this attention and, oh my God, your hair, da da da. Or they got a weave and it was like, But like when they had their hair in a natural state, people didn't really pay them that much attention. They got a weave, they got a silk press. You know, their hair was looking like Aaliyah's or in some type of style where it was straight. It was, But another thing with this type of hair texture, the type 4 hair texture, you know, they call it 4C. Sometimes I feel like I got 4D type hair. Is versatile. When you want to comb it out, blow it out, perm it, you realize that it's longer than you think. Like I can show you right here. When I blow this out, it becomes a bigger afro, but it becomes more to maintain. You know, with 4C hair, type 4 hair, there's a lot of shrinkage. There's a lot of tight coils. But when you expand them, they become bigger. But it also becomes more to maintain. And let's talk about even with little black boys growing up with hair like mine. There's this thing of always getting a haircut every 2 weeks, not making sure your hair's nappy looking, making sure you got to line up. And you know, that's okay. That's the upkeep. You want your hair to look sharp and nice, right? But I feel like in a way, there's that pressure to have your hair look nice too. You know, with black girls, it's like the perms and okay, getting a weave and you know, sometimes getting braids. So you got to deal with the high maintenance of it. With guys, with black guys, I feel like at a certain age, they come to the point where it's like, okay, you either want to grow your hair out like me, or there's this thing of, okay, getting waves so the hair texture looks better and more silky. Or instead of your hair looking like a nappy afro, you can transform it to look like curls. There's a lot of videos where you see like black guys have the thumbnail where it's like nappy afro transformed into like some type of curly hairstyle, and then you read the comments and there's a lot of guys that's like, oh, how do you do this? Teach me, please. Da da da. I'm tired of this hair. Da da da. Oh, I want to get girls. I'm tired of this hair. Da 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 da. Like, wow, there's this stigma that having hair like this is not that attractive. It's bad, and that at a certain point, the only hair that's acceptable is for your hair to look more laid and silky and curly instead of looking so nappy. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with getting a perm, getting waves, doing all that kind of stuff to manipulate your hair, from his natural state with texturizers, relaxers, but you can see where there's that pressure to get that. You know, you may like your hair, but you see how other people have their hair, the responses they get. You're like, oh, maybe it's time for me to get one. You see? And that's what was going on in this episode with Francine, with Muffy and the hairstylist and everyone around her like, oh. When she got that curly hairstyle, nobody didn't really like it.
Do you like it? No. I wasn't asking you. Well...
But you know another thing I found interesting looking at this episode? She was sitting next to Prunella at the game, right? Prunella, who was like, and I try not to make it like a big thing, but like I told y'all, I always thought of them as having some type of ethnicity or race. Prunella was like a lighter character, right? Like Muffy, she had the same type of hairstyle that Francine had, like that afro-y type hairstyle.
What's the point of running around in a circle and getting your shoes dirty?
But Francine, who had the same hair, all of a sudden it was,
Was it an accident, or does she look like that on purpose?
Long within the black community, there's been this thing of good hair versus black hair. Spike Lee even did a whole scene about it in one of his movies, School Days. The lighter skinned biracial girls, women, were always seen as having a nice, long, prettier hair, while the darker skinned women were always seen as unkempt with nappy hair and were seen as undesirable in comparison. Because while I agree that hairstyle didn't really suit Francine, like I said, I liked her little bob more with the little yellow beret. It was nothing bad about it. It just didn't suit her. And another thing, Muffy was the one to pressure Francine into getting the hairstyle and coming to the salon knowing how expensive it could get. But you have all this money, you have all this wealth, you couldn't even pay for it. You was the one pressuring her to, oh, come on, Francine, get your hair done, da-da-da-da. But she had to pay for it herself.
There goes my new soccer ball.
I'm gonna make another video about Muffy too. Look out for that one. So to wrap this up, at the end, Francine ends up just being herself, getting herself dirty, because Muffy was always trying to, oh, Francine, you gotta be clean. Look at your pictures from last time.
Remember this? Last year's picture?
She let all the pressure of that go. She got herself dirty. She ended up helping them win the game. And she took her pictures as is.
Next.
Oh, that Francine.
And you know, thinking back on it, that's another thing that made me nostalgic. Sitting in the chair taking that picture, because you only got one chance. You only got one chance to take the picture. Like, you couldn't take a picture, go look at it and be like, okay, can I change my angle or can I change my... No, once you sat in that chair and the photographer said, all right, 1, 2, 3, that was your picture. And you didn't even get a chance to see how it looked until it came out a few weeks or a month or so later, when the teacher started handing them out and you looked at it, you're like, you know? Y'all remember that? So overall, I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed just looking at the nuances of this episode. And this was done in the 90s, like I said, but it's still relevant today. When it comes to hairstyles and the pressure to get certain hairstyles, depending on your ethnic background or just depending on the people around you or your friends or everybody like, oh, it's about time to change that hair. Even your family doing that to you. This is something I feel like all of us can relate to in some type of way. Francine in the afro has become a meme. It's become a representation of having an unsatisfactory hairstyle in comparison to like Muffy.
Pretend you don't see them.
And I really want to get y'all thoughts on this episode. What did y'all think about Francine's bad hair day? What about Francine's hair was bad? Did you see it how I saw it in that good hair versus bad hair discussion that's often associated with the black community? If you thought about it differently, let me know down below. For anybody watching, if you have any experiences like Francine's or just in general of having a friend like Muffy try to make you look better, try to make you look like them, let's talk about it down below. But there's a lot to unpack with this episode. And this is a PBS Kids cartoon. They didn't really go that deep into it. But when you watch things as an adult, you get to see from a more mature perspective. Because they designed these characters that way on purpose. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see y'all in the next video.
Well, we don't promise miracles. Not in your price range anyway.